Welcome back to Reclaiming America. We have a great show for today. There's never a shortage of issues to talk about. I'm Bill.
I'm Greta.
And I'm Dan. Hey, everybody.
Welcome to Reclaiming America, part 299, I guess. We're
62, actually.
Wow.
I think we're at 62. Might be 63. But anyway, go on.
Anyway, we've got some interesting things that have happened in the last week since we've had a chance to talk to you.
And boy, did we blow it. We weren't even close on one thing.
You know, you're true. We didn't pick the vice presidential pick so well.
Not even remotely close. We went through, I think five different people.
I was kind of sweet on Kelly, and I think you were pushing Shapiro.
I was. Nope.
And, though I think they made a big mistake with Shapiro, which I'm kind of glad of as a Republican, because I think it'd have been more problems than who they currently picked.
I think this is going to backfire huge on them. I think they started panicking, this is my opinion, that they were, because they were getting a lot of backlash from the left, the hard left, the woke, whatever you want to call them. And this was a pick to placate them. And it's turning off, it's already showing up. It's turning off the center and center left. Big time. I think they're going to look back at this and go, oh, did we blow it?
You know what my concern is? He's not the vice presidential pick yet. He will not be till they have their vote at their convention.
Right.
It could change again.
Do you think it will, though, at this point? I would look.
That would be the last meal, if it does.
I'd be shocked, to be honest with you. It would really look bad for them if they
depends on how
did.
badly he gets beaten up for a lot of things.
Wow.
Pick one.
Well, let me ask you this first, because we're going to get into some of that stuff, and one in particular I want to ask you two about. But I want to throw this out for discussion first. Do you also, I understand they're trying to placate the woke, but do you also think this is a panic move because they were worried about losing Minnesota? Because the polling had Trump within the range to take Minnesota. First time, I think, since, 76? Was the last time they went for a Republican in the presidency. I have a feeling that was part of it. What do you think?
Well, I mean, Trump has a Midwest sort of candidate. Now, she has a Midwest sort of candidate. Trump's guy is grassroots. We're going to paint this guy as grassroots. I think it's a mirror image. I also think, like you said, it's a juggle between three states, right? Arizona, Pennsylvania, and Minnesota. Pennsylvania got a lot of electoral votes. Minnesota's got a lot of electoral votes. Arizona doesn't have that many. So yeah. And I also think it was the result of extremely poor vetting because we're in a hurry. I mean, honestly, think about when Biden stepped down. It hasn't been that long. And as Nancy Pelosi herself will tell you, she was never impressed with his political machine. And now I'm even less impressed. Okay. And I just think there's just a lot of reaction going on. That's what happens when you panic, when you wait to the last minute to do something.
I don't think they panicked. I think they did it by design. And I think they did it for the reason we're talking about. They want Minnesota. And they knew that he could possibly deliver him. But what they really didn't do, and that's another question in its own. Eric Holder did all the vetting.
Yeah, that was a mistake.
So
that's my point.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just, to be fair, they have to have Minnesota. They cannot win without Minnesota. But the other side of that coin is they cannot win without Pennsylvania, which has significantly more votes. They have to have both. It's not an if or if I get this one or that one. No, you have to have both. I don't know. Yes, Trump was within range in Minnesota, but I got to believe they had a much better chance of taking Minnesota, or keeping Minnesota, I should say. I think Pennsylvania's big time in play now. Yeah. And I honestly think they've probably just lost because of this. Because there is a lot of backlash in Pennsylvania now.
Sure is popular there.
Very popular. He was the one that's kind of scared me because, again, he gives you Pennsylvania. He gives you the Jewish vote.
Yeah, and that's another unknown right now. How do the Jewish people?
Oh, did you not see the Siena poll?
I see the poll, but polls,
I know what polls are, but see, and I will tell you right now, I'm a graduate of Siena College, okay? So I might be a hair biased. But their poll came out and said the Jewish population in New York, specifically New York City, is very close to leaning completely for Trump. Like, it's 50-50 at this point. To get to that point, they're in trouble. They may lose New York because they have to carry the city. No ifs, ands, or buts, because upstate New York is red, blood
I
red.
believe they have to come out of the city by about 30% to win.
Yeah, at least. And again, it's showing that this might be a mistake because at least Shapiro would have delivered the Jewish vote much more
Or
than
placated the
or
Jewish
at least
vote.
placated it. Now, I think that one of the reasons they avoided him was because they didn't want to upset all the ones that are pro-Palestine.
That's the big reason.
They've put themselves into a corner that they can't get out of in many areas. I think this is one of them.
But look at it. The polls have all suddenly swung.
Oh,
And if you believe that there's a bridge, I'd like to give you a
yeah.
good price.
Okay. I happen to, I don't know why, but I happened to watch NBC Nightly News last night. I wanted to vomit at how much they are just fawning over Camilla all of a sudden. You know, oh, how great she is. What a wonderful job she's doing. And the reporters aren't even hiding their bias anymore. And I'm sitting there going, okay, the left will be happy with it, but the center are not stupid. They're seeing right through it. I don't know. I think in the end, this whole thing is going to blow up on him. And he's got, their candidate for vice president's got some other issues, which is one I wanted to talk to you two about, because you are both ex-military. And there is this whole thing about stolen valor, stolen honor. I've heard it called different things. And I have my opinion, but my opinion really doesn't matter at all compared to both of yours. So what is your take on the whole thing? And maybe we should explain I'll let you guys explain what it was, first of all.
You go with it.
So Mr. Walls claims on his bio and when he runs for offices like governor or Congress or what have you, that he's a retired command sergeant major from the National Guard. I believe he was National Guard. Okay, so in fact, he did not retire as a command sergeant major. And he also claims, that I've carried a gun in war and I've done this and I've done that, never stepped foot into a combat zone. So basically, he's what we used to like to call a PX hero, right?
Yep.
Guy goes
Okay.
to the medal there is, pins it on his uniform. Then he goes and gets some idiotic tattoo spelled wrong.
And he goes to all the bars and he gets
Ranger,
drinks.
right? Yeah, I mean, he gets his butt kicked at the bar, that kind of thing. But what this guy did basically was he took a truth. He was 24 years in the Guard. He was a non-commissioned officer. He just kind of bent it a little, thinking, well, who's going to check?
Well,
And he was what we call a sergeant major slot, but he wasn't promoted to
He
that
was
position.
an acting command sergeant major, but he needs 3
and
years.
that's one of the questions I have for you two, because I have seen that where they're claiming, I think Greta, you said it right. He retired as a sergeant major. Master Sergeant, sorry. Okay. But he was doing the work of a command sergeant major, I guess, for a
And that's
couple
not
of years.
uncommon in the military.
So, all right, explain that to the audience for those of us that don't understand that in English.
Go for it.
So in many, many cases, we're, even with a stop loss, when we had a big stop loss at that time, as a matter of fact, we'll be very shorthanded in a lot of specialties and very shorthanded of leadership. So what will happen, and many, many times they'll put a lieutenant where a captain should be. They'll put a master sergeant where a command sergeant major should be. And if you look at the experience levels are pretty much the same, right? I mean, they're not that far off. And it was a good thing for him, but he didn't stay in the position long enough to retire at the position. So he is not a retired command sergeant major.
So he was never, in fact, one. He was acting as one. Is that the way to put it?
For example, there have been times as a major promotable, as they call it, I took over a battalion, which is a light lieutenant colonel slot. But somewhere down the road, I was going to make light colonel, and I did, and that's fine. but that's part of the Army training. You will often put somebody at the next level
Yes.
because if they're going to work toward that job and they meet whatever requirements somewhere down the road, they can get the job.
See if they
But
can
you're
get it.
not the owner of that job or that rank until you meet all requirements.
That's right.
So, I mean, to put it in layman's terms, non-military terms, it would be like in a corporation, the manager of a division leaves, so the person under him steps up and becomes the acting manager while they're hiring someone or finding someone to take that position, which could be in
Well,
fact the person that they've moved up,
right.
but it's a temporary, it's not an actual position.
That's a great opportunity to see how the acting person performs.
And if they do well, you might give them the job.
Exactly.
So if he had just hung in there a little bit longer, which gets into another thing that I want to talk about, which is there's a lot of blowback that he retired right before his unit, which was, I think, Minnesota National Guard. I guess he was in two different guards or something. I don't know. Was going to be deployed to, if I remember right, Iraq. So he
Right.
conveniently retired right before they were about to go over for a period of time. It wasn't like a few weeks. It was
Usually the
years.
deployment generally up to a year.
Yeah. So, I mean, looking at it as ex-military, how much do you think that plays into his character, or is that something that's common?
Well, look at the whole picture, though. He did it to run for Congress,
He claims.
claims. Okay. He didn't do it because his spouse is dying of cancer. He didn't, he did it because he wanted to run for Congress. So it was an opportunity. And I understand that. But at the same time, military is a much bigger commitment of human leadership and people depending on you as a leader. And they got to know this guy and they expected, I'll know this guy, I'll deploy with this guy, right? And he just walked and he knew.
And they know his leadership style.
They know his
And-
leadership style.
And he evidently was doing a decent job because they left him there. He's the one that decided to leave.
Yep.
But the problem you have is you're going into a war zone, and now you've got someone coming in that nobody knows. And the command sergeant major took his place is probably a great guy, not an issue. But he's still not a known quantity to that unit, and that takes a little weakness into it just because of that.
Well,
So they moved the unit forward, right? They moved him to Italy for a while. And that is the first step generally in looking around, what do we need next in the zone? And it's not unusual for a unit that's closely positioned to get a warning order many, many months in advance to say,
Absolutely.
hey, you're high on the list here, guys. So he knew.
So, would it be fair or not to say, I don't know, not sure how I want to phrase this, that maybe he was being a little cowardly in avoiding going into potentially a combat zone? Or is that just malarkey?
Because this was the Army Reserve, which is where you start looking into active deployment because we're all part-timers until you're told you're not. Well, Greta was active duty and was there full-time. We had a word for those people, and the first word was buddy, and the last one ended in ER, and it rhymed with truck.
See, this is why I wanted to get your opinions on it, because, again, I've never served, right? And I want people that are out there like me to understand the real meaning behind this. Trying to take the politics out of it, right? Forget Democrat, Republican. I want to get the viewpoint of actual military people. And that's why I think this is so important that we discuss it. Let me take to the other thing that's been out there. Because again, to me, this one to me is like, I don't know why this might be an issue. But some are saying, well, he was only, in quotes, National Guard. He wasn't active duty.
He was on active duty. He was absolutely on active duty at that time.
That's where, I mean, whether you're in the
It's
Guard
not-
or not, you're still serving, right?
Oh, yeah.
But
He was
so,
on full active duty
Well, look,
drawing benefits.
yeah.
The worst thing is that the man said about his own soldiers when he made the comment that one of the reasons he wouldn't bring in the National Guard when they were burning down his cities was that you're going to get 19-year-old cooks. And I heard that, and I want to.
Yeah, that one's.
The word buddy is back in my mind again.
But it's and again, it's not huge volume of people, but there are people out there saying, well, he was only National Guard. And to me, as trying to be a neutral observer, I'm like, he still served. Why is that? Why would we even bring that up? And you would kind of agree with that, it seems like?
He was activated. My brother was activated, I don't know, went to the Middle East 1, 2, 3 times, went to Iraq. And he was a reservist at the time. Okay.
You have to remember that the National Guard is the combat backup to the active army forces.
Mm-hmm.
The Army Reserve is basically combat service support, whereas the National Guard is your combat units. And our soldiers, our army needs those backups. There's a reality that we learned on active that, if a balloon ever went up or a war started, the first draftee would probably catch up with us in about a year if we're lucky.
Yeah.
So that meant if we couldn't get the Guard and or reserve backing us up, there was nobody coming to back up our soldiers.
So it leaves a huge void in that case.
10 years after you retired. Remember that. You were still on call
Absolutely.
for a decade after you retired.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, let me shift the discussion still within this realm, though, because, again, we've got a unique opportunity here because we've got 2 ex-military, all right? So there's a lot of discussion out there, and again, I'm speaking as a layman, comparing Vance's serving as a Marine and his rank to... I just completely blanked on the vice president's name. Wow. Gone.
Well,
Condom Tim?
What did you call him?
Condom Tim?
Okay, we'll go with that. Wow, my body just went poof. But anyway, comparing the ranks of the 2 of them. So Vance was Marine. Was it Condom Tim we're calling him? Is Army. Can you guys talk a little bit about that? Because my understanding, and I could be completely wrong, is that the Marines don't promote as often as the Army does. You have to be in longer periods or something to that effect. But yet they're trying to slam Vance.
That's opportunity for promotion.
Yeah, so they're trying to slam Vance for not being as a higher rank. So can you talk a little bit about that?
The latest slamming on Vance is that he was listed as not a war correspondent, but a battle, he's an enlisted person. His job was to assist the war correspondents to get to the war area. And that's what his job was. But they're now saying, well, he wasn't really in combat.
yeah.
If you were in that theater, it didn't matter whether you were pushing a pencil in the back, cooking food, or a frontline troop, you were in the theater.
It was in the zone.
That's right. And we don't have a war anymore with a standard line anymore. It's a 360 battle.
Yes, it is.
Well, it just, again, as an outsider looking in on it and keeping the politics out of it, I'm like, that's an absurd argument. But yet they're trying to drive that one home. He was only, whatever his rank was, whereas... I'm going to stick with it. Condom Tim, was a quote-unquote command sergeant major, so therefore he's better. And I'm like, it may work with the left because, logic doesn't work with them. But as someone who's somewhat in the middle, I'm like, why would you attack someone who was in a different branch, achieved whatever rank they did, they still served. They still
served honorably.
Yes. What? But again, that's... I guess where I'm going with it is how did it get to be this ugly that we're attacking people for their rank? Okay.
But notice they're not attacking what Condom Tim did wrong. They're attacking the man who did everything right, and they're trying to subvert this guy as if you will, a deception and get you away from thinking about the real issue, which is wall.
It's to coin a phrase, just a little weird. It's like I sit here and I've watched this all playing out, and I'm like, it's become the theater of the absurd, right? My opinion is both men served, both appear to have served honorably, did the job they were supposed to do. To me, it's completely a non-issue as far as the election goes, right? It shouldn't even be brought up, discussed. Give them credit for serving, doing their job, and move on.
Stop. There's a difference.
Go.
He did not stand up there. When he gets up there and says, I carried a weapon of war.
That's a different one. I'll give you that one. Yeah.
We all carry weapon of war. We had a pistol. We had a rifle. We had a weapon of war. Yeah.
My God.
That's the way it was. But he said he carried it in a war, and he didn't.
Now, that's a fair argument. I'll give you that one. And the other argument would be that he didn't, whatever weapon he might have carried ain't available in the store. There ain't no M4 available to go purchase. No way.
Well,
Huh? Not unless you spend, I think it's $50,000 to get the license to buy it, plus another $50,000 for the weapon itself. So, yeah, you can potentially get one, but an AR-15 is not an assault rifle. AR does not stand for assault rifle. So again, he's playing to the left narrative that, you know. And what was funny, I don't know if you saw it, but there's a meme going around where they took 3 different Ruger rifles, all 5.56. One looks like your standard hunting rifle. One is kind of in between, and one is laid out as an AR-15. And they're saying, what's the difference between these? And all these people underneath it are explaining how the top one is a hunting rifle and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. And the bottom one is a weapon of war. And then the guy just slammed them going, it's the exact same rifle, just dressed up differently. The mechanisms are completely identical. But it doesn't fit their narrative to do that. It was interesting to me to see how it all played out in this, to me, garbage argument over the military side. I'll give you on the claiming you were out, basically saying I carried a weapon of war, implying you were in combat. That's too far. But both men served honorably. I want to move on from that. That's my viewpoint.
and if he had just shut his mouth, no one would be making these comments. But when you go up there and you claim to do something you didn't do, I'm sorry, that's stolen valor.
It's fair game to go after him for that. I agree with you there.
You know, and double it when the other side goes after the guy that did nothing wrong, but he followed the call of his country, did what the country asked him to do, was discharged honorably, and then made a great life for himself. And that's the man you're attacking because he didn't make command sergeant major. That's like saying lieutenants are worthless compared to colonels. I mean, that's the same kind of a match up there. It's ridiculous. Everybody in that zone is a valuable commodity and should be treated like that.
The way I always looked at it is, because I've heard the argument before with World War II vets, they're all vets. They all served. They all did their job. Whether you were a cook you referenced earlier, or you were on the front lines at Okinawa, you still served and served your country, and you were all of them were responsible for the victory. That's my viewpoint on it. And on that note, it's time to go to our first break. Take it away, Bill.
All right, Bill's going to take it away now to our first break, and we'll be back shortly with Reclaiming America with some other great insights, compliments of Greta, Bill, and Dan the Man.
Ooh. Welcome back to Reclaiming America. We're talking about the now very infamous Mr. Tim Walz.
Wait, before we do, we have a guest. Don't forget she will not turn and look at the camera.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Molly.
Molly has joined us temporarily
Molly has joined us.
because it is thundering
I got to
outside.
tell you, with great respect, my friend, I'd have spent a little bit more for a hairpiece. That's not making
Yes, it's thundering where I am, so she is not too happy. Before we jump into the next topic, though, Bill, you had something you wanted to kind of close out on the last segment.
Yeah, as far as military, also understand the higher your rank, the more people that you're responsible underneath you. And there's a reality that as a command sergeant major, he was responsible for every enlisted person in that battalion or brigade, and he deserted them.
Very good point on that, and we'll just leave it at that because I don't want to spend the next 20 minutes going further on that. I want to kind of shift the gear a little bit if we can. We got so much to talk about, but something that I saw that popped up yesterday was the current vice president, the nominee for the Democratic Party, was having a little rally in Philadelphia. And she had some people there, on her side, I might add, who were not happy about the way things were going. They were pro-Palestine, started chanting, and our nominee for the Democratic Party got a little upset.
Yes, she did.
And kind of snapped at them a little bit. And I'll just say, and before I turn it over to you, looked a little unpresidential. So what's your thoughts on that?
We have a president who we like, who sometimes is not always as presidential as he should be, so, you know, the fact that she snapped back and said, I am speaking, I'll let her slide on that one, I really will, but
Really?
Trump does not always say the best things either, so we'll give her that one. I'd rather talk substance and
Really? See, I disagree with you.
that. Well,
Molly's,
there we go.
yeah,
I'd be more interested to see what that produces, though,
yeah.
Okay, that's
right?
I think it shows though that she can't handle even the slightest bit of pressure. These are people that are on her side, right? That are Molly's gonna having a cow right now because it's thundering. Sorry. These are people that are on her side. These are people that are her supporters, and she went after them. Not like Trump does. Like Trump will call people out. That's fair. He doesn't do it well. He goes over the line many times. We'll give him that. But I think again, this is going to blow back on her because she's showing that she can't handle it, even the slightest bit. Because they weren't attacking her. They were drowning her out a little bit. They were, following, I think, a paradigm that they don't want to push in Pennsylvania, which is anti Jewish. But I do think that it kind of showed her for who she is. She cannot
What a
handle
nice
even the
touch.
slightest of pressure.
Considering who she passed over, it was a nice touch, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
that passing over is gonna be an interesting problem down the
Yeah, they're
road too.
both,
What?
both
Shapiro was popular
What
in
was that
Pennsylvania.
pun intended, by the way? Passing over, Passover. Get it? All right, Bill. What else you got? Because I know you got a bunch you want to talk about.
Words of a pun, that was PU.
It was.
Okay, so we'll just leave it with that
We're going to
one.
go with keep on moving on from there.
I would, when you start talking about what these people are doing, you gotta look at this man's record for vice president. And I'm sorry to keep harping back on this, but look at his record as governor. They were burning the cities down. The Democratic mayors were screaming, send me some guards
Bill,
to
Bill, Bill,
protect.
Bill. Wait a minute. Those were mostly peaceful protests. What are you talking about? Burning cities down?
Well, I guess I missed that one. And who was the guy on CNN that said it was mostly peaceful behind him,
With the
burning down
fire just burning
cars? Yeah,
behind them.
it was mostly peaceful protest.
Yeah.
But they asked for help. He refused it till the third day. And his answer is constantly, all I had was 19-year-old cooks. What good are they going to do? And then you look at some of the other wonderful stances he's taken, and that includes every male bathroom in his schools have to have tampons in them. That's why I incorrectly gave him a name last segment. It is actually tampon day.
Yeah,
And
I ran with that name that you gave too. So it's your
yeah,
fault.
well, I like that one too, because I won't go that far, but I was going to suggest if his mom had used one, we wouldn't have this problem.
Oh, oh, we're going over the line here. So, yeah, I mean to talk about some of that stuff as we've talked about before during the pandemic. The Democrats were the ones out leading the charge at shutting down small businesses. They had all their reasons, every single one of which has been disproven. Okay. And he was at the forefront of it. He set up a hotline so that you could report your fellow neighbors. He's on record as saying it's not socialism, it's being neighborly. Oh, Henry's here.
I know, right?
You
Well, he
know,
heard about Molly.
He did.
yeah,
He wanted
apparently. Well, Molly's still
fun.
trying to get back up, but again, does the Democratic Party not do like you talked about vetting earlier? Do they not realize that that's going to be weaponized against them in every commercial?
Fortunately, they live in La La Land, and La La Land does not include reality. Because if they had really vetted this man, unless they happen to think everything he did was right, which unfortunately most of them do.
They do.
That was going to be my next question. Do you think this is them showing their which colors we know, but their true colors that they are going hard left,
Going hard left,
going hard left,
almost pregnant.
because you could say Harris is left. This guy is lefter than Stalin, Mao, and Marx.
There's also some word out there that I've heard through some channels that one of the reasons she picked this man, aside from his leftist views, and then one of the reasons she turned down Shapiro was because she didn't want anybody brighter than her under her.
Well,
And now that's not a very high bar.
do that one, no. Okay, no. How low can you go?
But again, I mean, the Democratic Party is not stupid. I'm sorry, they're not the leaders of it. They've been masterful at what they've pulled off over the last 40 and 50 years, and we've talked about that before. They it's I'm starting to wonder if they're deliberately tanking it at this point.
I've had that feeling because Obama's behind this at some level. He was Holder doing the vetting, and that's all his people. And most of the people running the show for her have been replaced with his people. So, they may be thinking this is a lost effort, so let's throw everybody out there we don't care about, let them go down, and then we'll deal with 2028.
But that's at the presidential level. What about down ticket this time?
Well, that's what the problem is down ticket, because the people down ticket are starting to walk away and say, we don't want to be associated with these
That's
people.
true.
But inevitably, they're going to be associated with it. I mean, you get someone in the middle. Again, the hard right's going to vote hard right, the hard left's going to vote hard left. That's a given. Majority of the country is somewhere in the middle, center right, center left, center, wherever. And yeah, okay, they might say we have no chance of beating Trump, and I think that at this point it's a fair thing to say. But they have, I think, a very realistic chance of taking the House. In fact, up until recently, I would have said they were going to take the House. Senate is up in the air, but potentially they could either keep it or split it. I got to believe this top ticket, oh dear God, they're going to lose a ton of seats. Do they not know that? What? I don't get it. Explain it to me, Lucy.
But notice who isn't going to the convention,
Yeah, a lot of them.
right? DNC convention's right around the corner. And you've got like 6 senators that are considered vulnerable in their seat.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I bottom 2 are Republicans, and turns out they're going to be fine. Okay. But the top 4 are John Tester, Sherrod Brown, Jackie Rosen, and Casey,
Yeah.
Pennsylvania, right? And they're not going to convention. I wonder why.
It's an interesting point because, and then we have to juxtaposition it with something else that happened this week, which is another one of the squads is out. Bush lost her primary. She's gone.
My fault.
Oh, I cry in my pillow every night.
I mean, I was like, wow, AOC, I don't think she's going to survive much longer. She may not survive the upcoming election.
Oh, in a district
I don't know, Bill. I think you got to remember her district, very Jewish, and she's anti-Jewish. I'm wondering, and this is what I want to throw out to you guys. Do you think they realize they've gone too far and they're just going to say, look, if we try and pull back from the woke left, the extreme left, we're going to pay a price. But if we can completely blow an election at all levels, not just president, but all the way down, and say this does not work, we need to rebuild our party, could that be what's going on? Because I'm starting to wonder.
Go ahead. You want first?
Okay, so like a living experiment. Honestly, you could be right. I just don't see the Democratic Party wanting to give up the White House. I just don't. Okay. I think they're going to lose the Senate either way. But the White House, I really don't think so. But you know what? Dan has a point. They
Don't
put
give
the
them any credit.
weakest candidate they had in for president of the United States. Truly, the cackler,
Yeah.
right?
The one who was out first out of 16.
Right. And couldn't get a percentage of the vote when she ran for
Not
president.
even one.
Not 1%, right?
Not one vote, period.
Yeah, you have a point.
But, I see what you're saying, but at the same side, Dan, you talk about rebuilding the party. Most of the people that would rebuild that party and bring it back center left, for example, have already left.
I think that's a
And
fair
they only
point.
have a hardcore party left. They really They
and it
have
isn't working.
hard left and hard left. They don't have anything towards center.
Yeah, I mean, I would put out that Obama's probably the closest they have to center left, and
And that is scary.
that's saying something, right?
Mhm.
But it goes to my thought is that to even get to Obama's level, and he is anything but center left, it is that far gone. I'm wondering if in the the hallways in the DNC they're saying, look, we have no chance if we keep going down this path. We've got to find a way to get out, and our way out is to have a landslide election against us, and then we can come back and go, we tried it your way, guys. It didn't work. The people rejected it. So we're going
It
to go
is.
move more to the center, wherever that might be, because they are not stupid people. I mean, they've run brilliant campaigns for
Yeah, but
decades.
ideologues are not stupid. They're just ideologues. And that doesn't
But
mean
do you
they'll ever
think? I mean, I get your
understand.
point on ideologues, but do you really think the people that are running the DNC at that level? Obama is he's
An
power
ideologue.
hungry, but I wouldn't call him an ideologue. I really don't think he is. He knows how to play the game. He knows how to manipulate people, to be sure. But I don't think he's a true ideologue. I don't buy that. But
They all did the same moves. It was Barack Obama who pulled back on Iran, remember?
Yeah.
And let them have at
And it
it.
was Barack Obama that put all those people in place, and we are in Obama's third
Yeah,
term. We
yeah.
are
oh,
there.
without
So,
question, in my mind, yeah.
and if you remember what he said in 2020, he would love to do a third term if he could do it from his basement in sweat clothes and just have
Right,
people there he could tell what to do.
right.
And look what happened.
I just, I'm wondering if they've reached a point where they realize they went too far. I mean, they're seeing, like we said, they're seeing the squad members are losing. Everybody that is hard left, even in California, they're starting to slip there. New York is slipping. They got to be looking at this going, if we don't come up with a drastic change for them, meaning come more center, they're not gonna exist anymore. I mean, the country's going more
Now they're
conservative to begin
trying to
with.
find ways to run an election like Maduro.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that's the truth.
yeah, pretty much.
And do away with all this fair voting. I mean, that's just it's influencing the wrong way what we need to do.
Well, buckle up, fellas, because those voting machine executives who have been on trial for I don't know how long got convicted today. So
Did they
a
really?
lot of, yeah, Georgia, for bribery and this and that and the other thing. Gee, I wonder who bribed them.
That's another thing. And just again, slide note on the same thing, going to Georgia. You really think Trump should have done what he did to Clinton
No.
or to the Secretary of State? Now, granted, those two people were probably the cause of what happened, but at this point, we're supposed to be healing and moving on.
Yeah, well, Donald Trump doesn't always do what I tell him to
Yeah,
do.
but now he apologized. Now he wants to heal. Now he's decided that maybe we
Yeah, he
should
does need to lighten
bury
up.
the hatchet on
And
this.
now he listened to me. Okay.
That's it. Well,
You
you
know,
have a lot.
I have his ear.
you know what? We got to go to break. I want to come back and visit this. What you're talking about is what Trump's campaign is doing because it comes to a point that I wanted to talk about. So let's go to break and then come back and we'll pick it up there. Take it away, Bill.
Everybody, we're already at the second of our breaks, which we mean we've gone through 40 minutes of this excellent conversation with 10 to go. You can't miss the second part, Reclaiming America. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Reclaiming America as we go down the home stretch to finishing up this week's show. Dan has got something he wants to share with all of us, so we're going to look with equal anticipation for what he's going to say.
So I was out on YouTube earlier this morning, and unfortunately, because Google wants to make a ton of money, we are getting flooded with ads from various politicians on any YouTube video you watch. Well, I happen to see one that the Trump campaign has now released. Have you seen it yet?
No, I don't think so.
So they have Ronald Reagan up giving a speech. And guess what he said? What I've been saying that they need to be running on. Are you better off now than you were 4 years ago? Front and center.
I caught that.
They actually took my advice. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you can keep saying, and then whatever you're smoking, we'd like a couple of sent over here for us.
No, I think he's right.
I mean, that's all they need to do. Don't do anything else. Just
Yep,
hammer that over and
better
over
off.
and over again.
Yep,
It was brilliant the way that commercial was done. And when you juxtaposition it with, because usually with YouTube you get two commercials back to back, and it just happened to be it was right after a commercial for the gubernatorial race in North Carolina, where the far left fascist Democratic nominee, the one who says that anybody who doesn't vote for him is an extremist, had his little spiel, and then right after that, it was like could not have been any better. You get that commercial with Reagan going, "Are you better off now than you were 4 years ago?" It was awesome, and hopefully they start running with that stuff.
Well, you don't think it's an accident that that movie is going to be starting on the 30th of August, do you?
No, of course not.
I mean, this was timed exactly to try to bring people Reagan into his mind and let them attach to Trump one way or the other.
But the other side of it is it's going to work because, again, you look at polling, and polling is polling. We all know that. But what are the top things that people are worried about? The economy, immigration. What are the things the Democratic Party is running on? Abortion and abortion and abortion. And that's it.
yeah.
I mean, almost every commercial references women's rights or abortion in some way. They are done. They know it on the economy and on immigration. And I think if the Republican Party just stays the course with that, and I honestly think they need to do it down ballot. Same thing at the governor's levels and stuff, is just hammer that home. They'll win in a landslide. Do you think they'll stick with it? Is my question.
I think there's a game plan, and it's my hope that the party does what the game plan is and doesn't let the Democrats suck them into doing things they shouldn't do.
Right.
Because we're not going to win when we start arguing social issues. We
Nope.
need to talk policy issues and issues that affect people's homes, their lives.
Yeah,
The economy, as you said, taxes, safety, crime, uh, immigration, illegal immigration, and that's a bad word, illegal immigration.
but if they take the bait
They
and
do all the time.
react, which they've done before, we're in trouble.
Mhm.
Yep,
Well, I mean, even on the social issues, though, I think they have opportunities there. And I'll use the big one, the abortion, right? Is they need to put these people that they're running against, the Democrats, on the spot. Okay, you're saying you support abortion and going to the presidential nominee up till birth is what he says. He's on record as that.
yep,
Most people, and I mean overwhelmingly, do not agree with that.
right.
They may be pro abortion, but they are not pro coming down the birth canal.
There's not a record that either one of them have on the Democratic side that they're not already walking away from.
Yeah,
Agreed. But why aren't they doing that? They, being the Republican Party, down ballot on those, like in our gubernatorial race, right?
I've been seeing that. I saw something come out today from the NCGOP listing Kamala's statement and then where she's backtracking now, one after one after one, so they put a whole list of them out as talking points.
My argument would be every debate, billboards everywhere. At what point do you not support abortion, or do you support it for whenever? Put that they never want to give you a number, ever. They will always say, "I support a woman's choice to choose, by it's her body, blah blah blah." To what point? Because they know, the standard argument you'll generally get is till it's viable. Okay, well, answer this for me. Is a 2-year-old able to take care of themselves and survive? No. So therefore, if you're going to use the viable argument, I'm going to throw it right back in your face and go, so you're pro aborting a 2-year-old baby. Oh, you liked that one, didn't you?
It was just not respondable.
But
We
it puts
agree
them on the spot, right? What's that?
We agree with you so much, we're
Yeah,
absolutely
okay.
dumbfounded.
But that's the argument they need to do for those. Again, I wouldn't spend a ton of time on it. It needs to be the primary issues: immigration, economy, energy would be another one, although it's kind of intertwined with the economy.
I think they should stick on the wallet, your pocketbook, and your safety. Those are the two issues that people are concerned about.
Absolutely.
And just stick to those two, which is the economy and crime. And that ties right to immigration, unfortunately. And that's a winner.
So let me ask you this one, because this is another question I have for you, for both of you. There's a lot of talk about the upcoming debates. They were trying to hammer Trump for being afraid to debate, right? Oh, he's too afraid to debate, Kamala. He wants it on Fox only. Well, now Trump has come out and said, no, I want 3 debates. One on Fox, 2 more to go, and she's now backing down. Well, I don't know if I want to do that. You know, do you think there's more than one debate? And what do you think will happen if they do, in fact, debate?
I don't think there's one debate.
I think she's agreed to the one that she's going to do with that Biden agreed to, which I believe is ABC News, which is the 10th. I think that she's agreed to do because he agreed to do it. But the one on Fox is the fourth, and then there's one later for NBC, and she's now booking on both of them. But what I think you're going to have here is I think Trump was brilliant in one way. Now he's got those networks pushing to get those things on, and he gave CBS the vice presidential debate. So now you've got
No.
all those networks pushing the Democrats and saying, "Look, we need these debates because they want the numbers."
Right.
So I think he can sit back now and watch them squirm.
And that was my point, right? Is one, I don't think she wants to debate at all.
Oh, I
They
agree.
put it out there to try and make him look bad, and the master he is at turning it around against him, he did just that. All right, you're saying I don't want any debates. Let's have 4 or 3 or whatever. And I think he's gonna. I think everybody knows he's gonna clean her clock in the debate. The only negative I could see happening would have been the same argument I was making when he was debating Biden. He could do so well that it'll be backlash against him for beating up on a woman or a black woman or whatever.
I don't think you're going to see that issue because I think from what I'm hearing, uh, the black women and this white suburban women are lining up because they want a woman in the White House. Unfortunately, that's a reality. However, black men are not going that way. And neither are the Hispanic community. They're talking numbers I think we've never seen before crossing over to the party.
Well, there was a poll I saw earlier this week where they were talking about the historical. I believe it was Dade County in Florida, Miami, where they were showing the Hispanic vote. So for Obama, he got, I don't know, some ridiculously high number. Then in 2016, it became less and less and less. And now basically Trump's ahead in the Hispanic communities. That
It's
is a
supposed to
monumental
be.
shift. Monumental shift. And I think it mirrors what's happening in the black community, especially with black men.
Oh, yeah, I agree with you there. And it's strictly a matter, I think a lot of this is hype. I mean, if you look at the big things that are out there, they're pushing, look, she can turn out the same numbers at her rallies as that he does. Well, there's one difference. He's not bringing with him some fancy singer, or some rap singer, or some band that fills the people up for the first 3 or 4 songs, and then she
Right.
takes over. And if you pay close attention, there's a significant amount of that audience that leaves after that song's over.
Oh, yeah.
It was funny because, again, the mainstream media never reported that, ever. There was, oh, look at all the people there, wide crowd shots when the rapper, I don't remember who it was doing her thing. But social media being social media, and this is why I say it's far more germane and important, made it abundantly clear they all got up and left after that. And there's video after video out there just showing the place emptying out. That is not a good look for them.
And there's also video after video with the language that their rapper used, which is not really going over with a lot of the people.
Again, that's playing to the far left, right? Because that's how they are. But again, they're losing the center. It's going to be very interesting to me to see what happens over the next 4 to 6 weeks. Let's say from now till the end of September. Because if they keep going the way they're going, this election by then is over. I don't care what happens. I think it's over anyway, but the entire party will abandon her, and I think that's what's going to happen. But time will tell, I guess, right?
I don't think the party can abandon her. I think there'll be a hardcore
I'm
vote
not talking
for
about
her.
the party itself. I'm talking about the public that are the blue dog Democrats and all them. I think they're just going to walk away from this. I'm not saying they're going to go vote for Trump. They're just not going to vote.
No, that's possible.
I think it's going to be a big number. I really do. I think New York will be the perfect example of it. Those people in New York City may not vote for Trump, but they may not vote at all.
I would almost be worth that to see New York go red.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be worth 5 shows. I mean, it would be. When was the last time New York went red? I was trying to think. Was it Reagan in '84?
Yeah, when he took 49 states.
Yeah,
I mean,
so that was the last time I could. We were trying to. A couple friends of mine and I were talking about it that live in New York, and I'm like, the only one in my lifetime, by the way, the only time I can recall it was Reagan in '84. Because the only state he lost was Minnesota, which now they're worried about losing that one. It could be 50 for 50. What do you think?
I love New Yorkers. They called De Niro a bum when he was out there
Yep.
speaking at the trial, Trump trial, and they have a sense of fairness. New Yorkers do have a sense of fairness, and they have been tormenting this guy and dragging him into court, and I don't think it fits very well.
No, it doesn't. And especially in some of the minority communities, they say that, many of their people have been picked on unfairly, and they may be right. And they see Trump in that same bag right now with what's happening to him.
A lot of them see Trump as one of them,
Yes.
and I'm not talking black community, Hispanic community, New York City people see Trump as one of them.
Yes.
That's why I have been saying, and I legitimately think New York is in play, and if that's the case, the election's over. I mean,
What I had to laugh about was the auto workers union leadership saying that they're thinking of pulling away from Trump and going now to Kamala because of Walz's joining them. They could go anywhere they want. I know where the membership's going. It's not going anywhere. You start talking about those people who are making the electric cars nobody wants, and their jobs are at stake. They're not going to do anything that's going to hurt. And Trump will put what he needs to do to get business up.
Well, you know what? He said it. He went there and he said it. We're going to make cars here, all the cars here.
And they believe him.
Right? We don't need their junk. We're going to make cars here. And I think that sounded just like the tip thing. No tax on tip. It resounded.
And no tax on Social Security.
Right. And he's a plain talker. And when you're plain talking and you say that, I think it's very powerful.
In words people understand.
Yes.
It's not, that's why I like, for example, when you look at the Republican National Committee came out with their platform, that platform went from 50 pages down to 15 or 16. And they boiled it down, and it can be put with one-liners on a single slide. As a matter of fact, we're putting one up in our headquarters. It's got everything on one page. So what Trump said he's going to do, and the party's backing it.
And he's quite specific.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And it goes to show too, I think, and I'll use Social Security as an example, that they're running around saying Trump's going to do away with Social Security. Well, if that's true, why is he out campaigning saying, no, I'm going to do away with taxes on Social Security?
Well, this could then they're going to do away with Medicare, Medicaid.
I mean, come on.
Pick one.
Again, they're playing to the far left people that they, that'll get them what, 20%, 30% maybe at this point?
They're playing to the uninformed.
The useful idiots, as they call them, but that's only going to take you so far. And again, going back to my thing I said a few minutes ago, I'm starting to wonder if they're deliberately tanking it all across the board because they know they are stuck in the corner. They have painted themselves into a corner they cannot get out of. And the only way out is to just blow the whole thing.
Yeah, but to go back to do that, they would have to go back and study their plan from '84. After Reagan kicked up that 49 and 50 times.
Well, Bill, that's a good point. This is eerily similar, don't you think?
Absolutely. I mean, the potential is there for him to almost walk the table.
we should, one of these shows we should do a how many states do you think they're going to take? Because I think right now Trump's got it 40. What those 40 are, we're not sure yet, but I think he's going to take 40 to 45 states. Again, Rhode Island, who cares? But New York's in play, Pennsylvania's in play. Every one of the swing states, Trump's either leading or tied, which means he's ahead.
Well, they're giving you Arizona by one now.
But that means he's ahead because we all know the polls,
Yeah.
they skew 4 to 5 points in favor of the Democrat every time. And I mean, they wouldn't be playing games with the polls to make her look better, Bill, would they?
Never happened.
Most of them do skew.
But what I like is when Trump comes back and says, it's starting to get closer. We got to get together and do what we need to do. The bottom line is still very simple. We need to turn out as many voters as we possibly can so that no matter what they try, it won't work.
Exactly.
Very simple.
And they will.
10 people, you get 10 people to vote, who get 10 people to vote, who get 10 people to vote. It's over.
It's not difficult.
And on that note, it's time to wrap things up. So tell them where they can see us, Bill.
Well, obviously they see us right now, so they're doing real well.
Do
Just come
this.
back to where they
Just
are.
do this.
Right up the top, right there.
There's all the things right there. So
There's the horns.
there you go. Oh wait, I just did Tricky Dick. Remember him? All right.
Certainly do.
On that note, we're going to go ahead and wrap things up. And make sure you give us that thumbs up, that like, and don't forget to subscribe. And we'll see you next week on Reclaiming America.
Reclaiming America.